I do want to introduce my brother Sal. I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, my brother Sal Lupoli.
You're awesome. You're awesome. Well, before I thank everyone for being in the room, I just want to give a special thanks to my campaign manager, my brother Michael. You know, when we moved from East Boston up to Chelmsford, 4 Forest Street, it was a big transition for us. You can imagine a big Italian family, a father and mother with a huge, huge presence in our life. I mean, not the world, not the universe, like galaxies upon galaxies revolved around my mother and father. And they taught us a lot of valuable lessons. And the one thing they taught us is, in the end, no matter what happens, you always have your family. So I just want to give a special thanks to my brother Michael, my brother Nicky, who's here, my brother John, who's here. Our best friend for all 3 boys was our brother James, that we lost in '07 to leukemia. So as Michael said, you know, there's been quite a void in our family. And I think because we stay together, that's why we survive and we prosper. And prosper comes in all forms, right? Prosper doesn't come with the number of zeros after that 1. Prosper comes with this. We're the richest guy in town right now. And I really want to thank everybody for that. But before I do that, I would like to offer a moment of peace for Carol Clevin, great ambassador to the state of Massachusetts, to the town of Chelmsford. So if we could just take a moment of peace for her. Thank you. So the first person I have to also thank, and I hope you can bear with me for a couple of minutes, and I'll try to keep it to a couple of minutes. I know my brother Michael was saying, don't be up there too long. Mrs. DiDonato gave me a lecture too, so I got to make sure I do the right thing. But anyways, I certainly want to thank my lovely wife, Katie. Everybody knows Katie. I'll tell you a fast story, Katie. My daughter, Mary, who's going to Bentley. Yay, Mary. She's a senior. Big Sal Jr. He's a freshman at Chelmsford High School. You know, just the other night I was having a coffee, and when I first got into politics, they said, Sal, you got to have coffee. I go, no problem. I drink 20 a day. Are you kidding me? No, you got to have a coffee. What is that, a coffee? Well, you go to a particular place and you invite people and they come and they ask you questions. I said, okay, so following the rules and the regulations, and I go there, and a very dear friend of mine, Dennis Reddy, is there with his lovely wife, Donna, and I see him talking to Katie, and I introduce him, and at the end I said, Dennis, I just want to thank you for being there. And he goes, you know, I met your wife, Katie. I said, you know, Dennis, if Katie was running, this race would be over. He goes, you know what? I like her better than you, Sal. So I just want to take a shout out to that. I certainly cannot get in front of anyone ever when the opportunity like this without thanking my mother and father, even though they're not here. We just lost our mom in 2014 in October. Huge presence. You know, I talk about her being my hero. I talk about my apple of my eye. You know, I got a lot of things from my father. You know, I got endurance and courage and being relentless, but I really got my strength from my mother. You know, she was everything. So with that, I certainly thank my brother James, and I want to thank Joe and Bill Askenberg and Joe Reddy, and I want to thank you there working on the campaign. I want to thank my brother Nick and my brother John again. I want to thank all my employees for being here. You know, first of all, the Princeton station was terrific. They allowed us to bring our own food in. I really want to thank them and my staff, my entire company. You know, I see some of my employees here. We have a rather large company, well over 500 people, and we all work together. And some of those people that I saw here today, they've been with us for 25 years, and not because their last name is Lupoli, because they're part of the organization. So I just want to thank all my employees for showing up today. I want to thank all my friends that contributed to this. I walked into this room, and I see all my friends working hard, and they've really supported us on the campaign since we've started. You know, Mike and Lisa Vecchione, I want to thank you very much. Phil and Karen Regan and Jimmy Young and Eileen and Johnny Mack and Lynn Whalen and the girls. I certainly want to thank John and Peggy Gump, George and Becky Tyros, Phil and Marie, Mark and Melissa, Tom Cristiano. Thank you for all your advice too, by the way. And I also just want to thank my dear friend Alan Lampert and Dick Santagati for being here, and once again, Karen DiDonato. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for all your advice. You know, I want to follow the right protocol and thank the entire school committee. I know Evelyn's here, and Al Thomas and Nick DeSilvio, the Board of Selectmen, George Dixon, Pat Wojcik, Matt Hanson. He's been outstanding. Janet Askenberg. The advice I've gotten from Janet was outstanding, too. Thank you very much. The Planning Board, Ed, Water Commission, Billy, Chelmsford Telemedia, Tommy Cristiano, Joe Reddy again for Town Talk, Jessica Donahue, the Lowell City Council, even Corey Belanger showed up. Thank you, Corey. And some former elected officials, Angelo Taranto, Dennis Reddy, and Michael McCall. But I do want to give a special thanks, and I saved the thank yous for last, to a very important man in my life. You know, when I decided to do this, I was really excited. I made one phone call, the very first phone call, because I didn't even call my brother, because I was like, geez, can I really, you know, how do I feel about this? I need some good advice. And I'm not afraid to ask advice. I'm not afraid to be transparent. I'm not afraid to be vulnerable and look you in the eyes and say, hey, what do you think? You think I can be successful? If I can, tell me how to do it. Tell me what I need to do. So I called the legend. I called Angelo Taranto. And I said, Mr. T. Ange, who, I mean, talk about a mentor. I've been with him since the 7th grade, and he's been keeping me in the right direction, and he's part of my success. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But not only do I want to thank Angie, I want to thank his lovely wife, Mary, because I know, Mary, I feel terrible. Sometimes I'm calling you on Saturday mornings, I'm calling you at nighttime, I'm stealing your husband, and I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you, Mary, allowing me to do that. And Angie, thank you very, very much. You've been an inspiration. So now we'll get to the first question that everybody in this room, every one of my family members, every one of my employees, the first thing they say to me, hey, Sal, why? Why, Sal? You know, and I got to say it this way, you know, who you are in life, in my opinion, my humble opinion, who you are is where you came from. Now, I'm certainly a product, as I just said to you earlier, from Jeanette and Nicholas Lupoli, so that's who I am, right? I'm their son. But also, who you are is where you came from. And where did I come from? I came from Chelmsford. And Chelmsford is a part of me. Chelmsford made me who I am today, because I look around the room and I see some really special people in my life that have been with Chelmsford since the beginning. And you know, we're all in here, believe it or not, for the same reason. And it's not the name, it's not the person, it's because who we are, we're loyal to Chelmsford. We're loyal to our kids. That's why we're here. Now, I can appreciate you're here to, you know, go get them, Sal, but in the end, we're loyal to Chelmsford. And I think that's what we possess. But why do I do it, you know? I have this unquenchable thirst. I don't know how to describe it. My wife and my dear friends tell me all the time, you're like Pac-Man, Sal. When you get involved in something, you just want to keep going until you see it through. And some of the things I like is I love to make change. I love to make things for the best. I live for that. It's not about the zeros, like I told you, because if it was, we would have stopped, you know, at 10 or 12 or 15 stores ago. That game was over. That game is won. It's about how much more of an impact can you make. We were offered to sell many times our organization. We won't sell it, because if we sell it, potentially the new investors are coming in, or the equity firm that would come in, they wouldn't treat our people the way we treat them, and that's a big deal to us. Chelmsford, and being loyal to Chelmsford right now has given me an opportunity to be in front of you. As you know, for 10 years now, I've either been a high school football coach, I've been coaching Papuana, or the president of Chelmsford Papuana, and that organization and those organizations have given me many special memories, right? They've given me the ability to do what is the most important thing that a mother and father, a person can give, right? That is mentoring children. Imagine, I've been able to be around hundreds, if not thousands, of young men and try to keep them on the straight and narrow road. Athletics or football was just a vehicle that the good Lord gave me. That's all it was just a vehicle. Some people are talented in music and performing arts and things like that. I was blessed to have a vehicle to teach our kids and mentor our kids. And whatever it takes to get through, We use whatever tools that we have. And one of the tools I think that I was blessed with is leadership. I just crave it, man. I'll tell you, I live for it. I read as much as I can on it. I believe in education. I went back to school a few years ago, right? CEO of a company. Why did I go back to school? Because I can be better. And I tell my guys, every day we can be better. So forget about just talking the talk. Sal, walk the walk. Okay, I'm going back to school. I submerged myself in an education for 14 months, little school with 3 letters into Cambridge. And every single day, I left the house at 6, came back at 8 o'clock at night. My family supported me. My friends supported me. And those values and that opportunity to go to Boston every day allowed me some reflection. And it allowed me why I was doing it was because of leadership. And you know, how do I interpret leadership? I think that's really important. Me, personally, how do I digest leadership? I want to be held accountable. I do. When I start a project, I want to be held accountable. I'm passionate about success. I'm passionate what's right. I love to take on challenges. You know, people say in the opportunities that have been presented to us up in Lawrence, Massachusetts and throughout Massachusetts, you know, why are you doing this again? My wife will joke, another building or another opportunity. Because I like to do things that people say can't get done, right? If anybody told you 10 years ago that there was going to be a family that would come to Lawrence and buy the worst mills, buildings that were designed to be torn down, and you were going to resurrect them, and you were going to spend the next 10 or 12 years, and by the end you'll create 4,500 jobs for the poorest city in the community of the state of Massachusetts, one of the poorest in the entire country at one time. Why? Because it's a tough challenge, and we love it. We love it as a family. It's who we are. Chelmsford gave us that. Really, honest to God. I look around the room and I see people like Jack Fletcher and I think of Tommy Cato, those mentors in my life. I see Angelo Taranto, Mr. Thomas. And I remember that's part of my success. That's part of the leadership quality. It's not a book you open up. It's not a lecture you hear. It's what's a part of you. It's that knowledge that's transferred over to you at a young age. Well, I also want to just tell you a couple of things that are important to me. People ask me, you know, what are a couple of your priorities? Well, I'll tell you what, there can be no bigger priority than the safety of all your children in this room, in schools. That's it. That's number one, period. We could talk a bunch of other things, but I promise you the safety of your kids is number one. I love the idea of, and I don't understand why we're one of 12 communities locally that don't have full-day kindergarten. That's a big deal to me. You know, I understand and value what the schools need. I want to hear the schools. I've called everybody we've called all the town reps, we've called all the principals, we've called all the selectmen, we've called all the fine. We've done all those things, and I've listened. And I've listened to the principals of our community. And when I asked them, what do you need? Well, they were prepared. Well, they started talking about budgets. I said, no. What do you need in your school? Just your school. Forget about everybody else. What do you need to be successful in your school? And a couple of them said, Sal, you know, I've been doing this a long time. No one's ever asked us that question. But that's what it is. It starts with the little things, one thing at a time to be successful. I want you to help me restore some faith in our community right now. It's a little off right now. I don't want to talk about yesterday. I want to talk about tomorrow. I want to talk about the future. I want to talk about things we can put in place to make sure we go back to when we were all young and what Chelmsford was all about when you talked about education. I talked to a couple of local real estate brokers, and they'll tell me, you know, people look at Chelmsford right now and they're moving to Westford, or they're buying homes in Westford, those young professionals coming in, because they're not really sure what's going on. It's a little uneasy. I just want to be part of a team. I think that's really important, because the entire board, you're just one vote. You're 20% of the entire board, Sal. And I realize that's what I am. And I just want to be a part of that team to help make change. I want to be part of that team to plan for your kids' future. I know I can do this, and I can do it exceptionally well, because I have great passion for that. So having said that, my brother, a little inside joke. I got to say it now, because now when the debates come, you know, you'll hear it. You know, my brother is very, he watches me like a hawk, and he watches the things I say and the words I say, and he makes sure I articulate myself the right way. So I appreciate everything he does, even that he does.
Tough job.
So I have to respectfully ask for your vote on April 7th, number one. If you have any questions, you can go to votesal.org. You can send me an email from there. You can like me on Facebook. You know, you can share my Facebook page with somebody. The sign-up sheets, I'd really like you to take your time and take a peek at that and see how you can help. But there is one person, Mike. See, what you don't know is we have an assistant to the assistant to the assistant manager of this whole campaign. And just happens to be a 7th grader at McCarthy. And I'm looking in the audience and I don't see him, but Michael Vecchione, where are you? Put your hand up. Where are you, Mike? There he is. So Mike Vecchione says to me, Coach, are you really going to do this? I said, Mike, I'm committed. This is it. We're all in. And Michael says, well, listen, I have some things that we should address right away. If anybody knows Michael Vecchione, this is like par right now. So I got my pen out and my notepad. And, go ahead, Mike, you have the stage. What do we need to do? He goes, well, I only have one priority, Mr. Luke. And if I'm going to tell people to vote for you, you have to do something with the school lunches. I just don't like them. So, Mike, I promise you, I'm going to look into the school lunches right away, and I'm going to make sure I address that. So with that, on behalf of my entire family, on behalf of my wife and children, on behalf of my mother and father, all my brothers that are in the room, on behalf of Chelmsford, I want to thank you for being here today. I want you to enjoy and be safe, and give me an opportunity April 7th when you get in that booth. Thanks, guys.